Hi guys, today we are going to work on the colour building series. So the next colour in our lineup is green. So I'm pretty excited for how this one turned out today as well, and there are videos for all these other colours on the channel. So we are working in this Strathmore cotton sketchbook, and I got it off Amazon. It has been a really nice sketchbook to work in actually. I think on the reds video there was a little bit of spotting and the sizing had gone off on one of the pages, but the rest of it seems okay, and it's just a really nice little sketchbook to work in. It's interesting because it makes you think differently, like the different shape. So it's been really nice for that, and it's worked really well for these videos actually. So the first green that we started with is the Daniel Smith Terra Vert. I really love this one. It's my dark green. If I want to darken it up, I go to indigo or Van Dyke brown or one of the dark purples. But I just really like it. I tried Perylene green, but I haven't really gotten on with that colour that well yet, so I haven't figured it out. The next one is Permanent Green by Daniel Smith, and that is one it's starting to grow on me. I'm starting to figure out how I can use it in my palette. The next one is Holbein Composed Green, and this one we're swatching now is Holbein Leaf Green. So I really enjoy both those Holbein colours. I think for the Composed Green we're going to look at how to make that yourself, and I think once I run out I will try and make a variation of it. So this is the Daniel Smith German Green Raw Umber. It's my go-to olive green. So if I want a bit more green, I'll put the green gold with it, but I really love that colour. And then this is my favourite, probably out of the greens. This is Fuchsite, Daniel Smith Fuchsite. I think the only thing I forgot in this video is to show you how that sparkles, so I might try and put a shot in of that. And then the next one here is Daniel Smith Green Gold. So I actually really like this range of greens. It's almost its own little palette, contained just within the greens. But I want to show you a couple of different options here. So this is my larger palette. This is what I was collecting when I really wasn't sure how I was going to paint, and so I was trying out all these different colours. And so one of these might suit you better, so I just wanted to quickly swatch those out for you as well. So this one is Schmincke Phthalo Green Blue shade. It's actually quite a pretty colour. They are staining, so I don't use them as much because they're harder to lift if you make a mistake. But they're really nice colours. This one is the Daniel Smith Phthalo Green Yellow shade, and I was actually thinking of putting that in the palette instead of the Permanent Green. This next one here is Amazonite. So you can see here that's the Sleeping Beauty and the Amazonite, and some of these Daniel Smith Genuines, they have a very special kind of a look to them and feel to them when they dry up in the pan, and I'm just showing you here, like, it still blows me away every day that I can paint with these rocks. Like, it's amazing. I don't think any of these are actually Fuchsite. We have some somewhere, but I couldn't find it. But it's just amazing to me. So this one here is actually Amazonite, and it is sort of a version, I'd say like a replacement or a different version for the Phthalo Green Blue shade, and it's probably easier to lift as well. So this next one here is Sennelier Emerald Green. So this is a really gorgeous one as well. The thing about this, I got it in the tube, and the tube is really, I don't want to say slimy, but it doesn't dry hard, and so it's hard, I don't know, it's hard for me to use. I just feel like I'm slathering honey all over my page, which I really just don't want. So I think I might try that in the half pan. And then this one here is the Spring Green, and I also put the Fuchsite in there next to the Emerald Green, just so you can see the difference there. So I just want to show you why I love the Fuchsite so much and what it can do for your painting. So in my Pinterest, it's Her Brave Heart. So you can have a look in the painting folder and you'll be able to see all these paintings. But I'm just going to kind of pull a couple up and show you landscapes, especially. They just have these flashes of this kind of fuchsite colour. And it really makes the whole painting just come to life and brightens and cheers the whole painting. So I'll pull up a couple of other ones. And I think this one is my favourite one of all. It's got this really slight sort of bit of fuchsite behind the tree there that is, it just sort of softens into the background. So I was thinking about all of those paintings and what we could do today to show off the greens a little bit and show how to layer them or how, to use them. And I thought we could try a little rendering of Monet's garden. So it's not something I've ever done before, and I want to sort of paint water, but I never really have, so it's a little bit intimidating to approach, I would say. But I thought it would be just nice because we can layer all these greens into the painting and just see how they would work in a painting. So I've just made this little tiny frame. It's basically like 2 by 3 or something like that, and we're creating a sort of gold frame around it. So I've just put these U shapes in, and then we're doing some simple sort of hills and curves. And if you want a little bit of a more in-depth tutorial into some of these sort of, how to sketch this, the first part of the How to Paint a French Chateau is on the channel, and it's just basically the sketching part. So it goes into all of these, how to sketch these types of things. So once we have the outside, we're just doing a series of ovals, circles, and sort of U shapes or C shapes very loosely around the side. So this is just, again, a small colour study, a little rendering, and we are just doing very unstructured shapes. As Monet would say, we want to get the impression of a frame. So the first thing I'm doing here is I'm using French ochre, and I'm just building a base layer for the frame. And the other thing I wanted to say why I show you all the different colours is because I want you to see what's available and what might work better for you. You don't have to, I don't want you to think that you need my colours or you need, the same things to create your type of painting in your style. You can get any colours, that speak to you. I've seen people create whole businesses with a Winsor & Newton little travel palette, and their talent is incredible, what they can paint. I'm not that skilled, so I like the colour to speak for me a lot of the time. And I do worry that if I recommend you colours and then you get them and you don't like them, so you don't have to get anything just because I'm using it. I'm just showing you kind of my journey, and then it's a starting point that you can jump off and find, the palette that you really love. So the next thing we're doing is I'm getting my favourite Winsor & Newton gold drawing ink, and I am just using my paintbrush and sort of putting that around in parts of the frame. And so I was debating here whether or not to put this sort of box around because this is a water, the water activates the pigment, but I thought it would actually be quite nice. It would soften into the painting. Okay, so we're going to leave the frame for later to finish off. So we're going to start with the fuchsite, and we're going to do what we've seen in some of those other paintings and sort of back the painting with the fuchsite, so that you get this really pretty background and soft, the painting softens into the fuchsite. And then I'm using a little bit of the Pyrrole Orange by Daniel Smith and just watering that right down so we have a peach colour, and putting that for sort of the sky portion. Now, there's lots of ways to mix some of these colours as well, so you don't have to have them. That was the other thing, but you know, if I was mixing everything, this video is already taking so long, so it's just I'm just using the colours as they are and just showing you how to put them down. So I'm not really an expert on how to paint this garden or how to paint water. Like I said, this is my first time. So, but what I've done is I've put the peach in the sky, and then I'm reflecting a little bit of that around the pond as well. Now the next thing I'm doing is I'm actually backing the, what do they call, like the willow branches that are drooping down. So I'm putting the highlights or the glow in first. So I'm using yellow and orange, and I'm creating, so where I want those drooping willow branches to go, I'm sort of creating a highlight behind them. And the other thing you'll be able to see here too is that I'm doing most of the painting wet into wet, so I'm not really letting anything dry. I'm just sort of letting everything flow into each other a little, and you know, do more of an impressionistic style here. So now I'm getting the Terra Vert, and I am putting in a base layer for the lilies. So once I've done the Terra Vert, I go back in with the permanent green to brighten them up. And then if it's too bright, I just go back in, I clean off my brush, and then I go back in and lift a little bit of the colour. Next we're going to get Opera Rose, and I'm just putting in the suggestion of the water lily flower. Okay, so now I'm going to go in to the Terra Vert, and I've put the glow in for these drooping willow branches, and now I want to put the shadows in. So I am using my darker green, and I am just doing kind of like an upside down Y, or like V's that are a little bit off center, and I'm just putting those willow branches down. So now I'm getting my German green raw umber, and I'm putting in some of those darker tones in the water. So that's a really good one to use for those shadowy sort of watercolors from the pond. Okay, and then I'm going back into the pink, and I am putting in some more pink as that's drying up, just to brighten that up again. And then now I'm going into the permanent green, and I'm adding the mid-tones to these branches. So you can see we're just slowly adding each piece, and we continue to monitor the painting, and we want to preserve those highlights as much as we can. So we start as light as we can, and then we're just building up gradually, very slowly and very lightly. So at this point, the majority of the painting's put into place. So now we're going back and we're doing our final layers to check, that everything's as dark as we want, and we put we go over the painting for the last time with all these colours. Okay, so the very last thing that I want to do here is get the Hematite, which is kind of my version of a black. It's a dark brown, but it granulates really softly into the other colours. And so we're using that around the shapes. So we're not going into the circles we created, or those little curves, we're going around them to create shadows and depth. And just again, very loosely, and then that is pretty much the end. I actually really enjoyed doing this piece, and I want to see if I can create a larger, proper watercolour piece of this garden now. I've kind of thought of this for a while, but I wasn't sure, but I think it'd be really nice to try. Anyway guys, that is it for today. I think the last thing I want to do is just show you how you can mix composed green. If you have any greens, you can. I know that whole wine's hard to come by, so and you might have some of these greens and you might have a white, so you might be able to mix one quite easily. So I'm using the permanent green, and I think I have the Grumbacher white, and it's a really nice creamy sort of a white actually. And so I use those, and I'm just showing you here that's a really beautiful colour, so I think that's what I might put on my palette next. And then if you add a touch of yellow to that, you have pretty much the exact same colour as composed green. So again, I'm trying to show you that you might have colours that already suit and fit some of these colours, or you can create them or mix them. You don't necessarily have to go out and get these colours. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. I just wanted to say as well, thank you so much for all the support and comments from the last video, and I will see you guys as soon as I can with a new video. Bye.